I've bought every Call of Duty since 2007. And even though I'm a longtime player and fan of the series, this past year when Modern Warfare 2 came out, I was super excited because it seemed like finally we were going to get our first time 2 year cycle so these guys could maybe take a breather and come up with some real fresh ideas. I thought Modern Warfare 2 was good enough to stand on its own for a while and definitely fulfill the 2 year gap. And they were going to be able to add a bunch of new content because not only could they come up with new map designs, but they had a whole pool of old Modern Warfare 2 maps to actually get. So they could rework those maps in as well. I thought this was the perfect game for them to attempt this. And then they flipped the script on us and said, nope, never mind, it's going to be Modern Warfare 3. So for the first time, we're getting back-to-back Modern Warfare games 2 years in a row. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you're looking for a glowing review just because this is Call of Duty, it's not going to happen. I'm going to look at this game as objectively as possible, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons as I see it. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. Now let's start with the launch, Modern Warfare 2 versus MW3. There's a couple of things I want to look at. Modern Warfare 2 launched with 10 6v6 maps and 5 other maps for their other game modes, okay? Which 10 maps is pretty abysmal. And I thought the maps that released on launch were one of the big hindrance of Modern Warfare 2. But then again, we all kind of figured, hey, they're going to throw some old school 2009 Modern Warfare 2 maps into this. It's going to get better. Modern Warfare 3 launched with 16 maps. All 16 maps are reworked 2009 Modern Warfare 2 maps. Now, if you're not as familiar with the series, you might be thinking, why would they take Modern Warfare 2 maps and throw them into Modern Warfare 3? I promise you, we're going to get to that, or at least my reasoning why I think they did this. Now, in Modern Warfare 2, you had 51 unique weapons in the game. In Modern Warfare 3 at launch, they have 36. Modern Warfare 2, we had 18 kill streaks. Modern Warfare 3, they've added 4 new ones along with the 18 we had before. Now, there's some other little things here and there, like, both games had Vault Editions, and, there's some operators that are tied, behind a Modern Warfare 3 additional $30 paywall and things like that. I'm not going to focus on that as much, but yes, those are things as well. The health was increased from Modern Warfare 2 from 100 to 150 in Modern Warfare 3, and that shows up in a big way in this review as well. Right into it. Let's talk about the maps first and foremost. And I think the best way to look at this is how much is nostalgia worth? In 2009, I was just a few years removed from high school. My first son was 2 years old. And so, it is kind of cool to go back and play all of these maps that, we essentially grew up with. I mean, Modern Warfare, when actual Modern Warfare came out in 2007, I was a little late to the party getting there. I think in January. So I said I bought every Call of Duty since '07. It's actually January of '08 is when I really started with Call of Duty. Then it was World at War, which is a big release too. And then Modern Warfare 2 just changed the game entirely. It changed every aspect of Call of Duty. And that's what was so awesome about the games back then. Where World at War was just a reskin of Modern Warfare, but it was still so much fun that people really didn't care. And plus, World at War was really an awesome game. Modern Warfare 2 flipped all of that. From sound design to guns to progression. I mean, they just really went over the top, and it paid off. So in that aspect, playing through these maps feels good. But there's only so much they can change about them. I made a joke when I talked about the campaign and how abysmal that is, and I'm not even going to mention that in this review, but because it's just so bad, it's just awful. But anyways, I digress from that. What I'm saying here is that you can't change too much because then you take away the feeling of the map. And while the textures and the graphics and the game runs fairly smoothly and it obviously looks better, I think they would have been way better served by putting in a quarter of the maps they did in this game as reskins. Because then throughout the life cycle of this game, now you can release 4 more here, 4 more here, whatever. but the game launched with 16 reworked maps. There is no, I mean, regardless of what they say at Activision or whoever, there's no ingenuity behind that. You know, if you take and tweak a few things around, you update the graphics, you basically made a remaster of these maps, but you didn't have to put a lot of thought into it because the maps were already there. They're already in the system or whatever. And that to me was the biggest detriment. You know, if you're going to come out with 16 maps, which is strong for a release, especially in Call of Duty, make 4 of them old school maps at launch and the other 12 brand new designs. Show us that you're at least trying. And they definitely didn't. And it is obvious from the maps right off the get-go that this was a rushed project. I don't care what they say. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am. It seems rushed just in that aspect alone. Now, I love new guns, not only in Call of Duty, but in real life. And so it's nice to see any additions. And there's some cool ones here, from the CZ Bren 2 to the FAMAS to the ACR, the Uzi Pro, the UMP45, and the G36. And so with Modern Warfare 2 guns, Modern Warfare 3, you have almost 100 weapons and way more than that when you add in the variety and different attachments and stuff you can do, which they're still using the gunsmith like they did in Modern Warfare 2. And so while they didn't add as many weapons this time around, these are all really awesome weapons. Another thing they upgraded was the hit markers and the headshot indicator. It is very satisfying this year. They changed the perk system, so it's no longer a progressional perk system. It's back to the traditional perks that we're used to. Now, another thing they added back into the game from 2019 is the ability to slide cancel, but it doesn't reset your tactical sprint. So it doesn't feel as smooth in transition as, traditional slide canceling, became. But at the same time, it does feel much faster than Modern Warfare 2. Manling is faster, movement feels faster, slide canceling, of course. So you got a lot of the same kind of stuff from Modern Warfare 2019 that we were used to, or that, the game kind of became. It's bunny hopping and slide canceling. I haven't seen a lot of people bunny hopping, but, slide canceling around corners and things like that. So if you need to get out of a situation quickly, you can actually do that again in this game. And then the increased health. So right now, as far as the gameplay, headshots are super important. And you may be thinking, oh, well, it's always been important. Well, yeah. I mean, you can win gunfights very quickly by, obviously landing headshots. But in this one, it could be the difference between you winning a lot of gunfights or losing those gunfights if you're not going for those headshots consistently. Keep that in mind. Drop shotting, of course, is another effective tool that you can use, but this is not a tutorial on how to play Call of Duty, mainly on the gameplay. But that is something that you're going to notice. If you haven't bought the game yet and you jump in, it is very fast and very unforgiving this time around. SBMM, you may have heard this already, but it is cranked up to what seems like 1,000%. So the better you do, the more you're going to get punished. And unfortunately, they just refuse to listen. I'm not totally opposed to SBMM. I think a much softer version of this would be such a benefit to the game, but that's not my decision. We've all kind of spoke up about this, and some people just say get better or skill issue or whatever, but it is cranked up in the game. So it plays fast, and it's going to take a little bit longer to kill, so you need to be spot on. As far as that goes. Now, is Modern Warfare 3 really worth buying, though? That depends on how much you think nostalgia is worth. If you never got to experience this back in the day and you want to finally experience it with your friends and all of that kind of stuff, maybe it's worth it. If you like really competitive, fast-paced shooters, this might be your Call of Duty. But Call of Duty has become less of a just casual experience and more of what feels like a competition every single game. High SBMM, faster movement, longer TTKs on remastered maps. That sounds fun to you? Go for it. In my opinion, if they would have released this as a $40 add-on to Modern Warfare 2, we'd be having a different conversation. They didn't. And so if I'm going to pay full-blown price for this game, I'm going to call it what it is. And what I think it is the laziest entry in this entire series. They didn't have to think about map design. Just remastered them. They really didn't even have to think about guns because a lot of these guns were in Modern Warfare 2 as well. No real changes to the gunsmith. Bunch of the same optics, which I kind of understand the optic thing, but, you know, and you have some camos. You know, I mean, there's very minor changes here. And like I said, I think this is like the best example that they have stuck with the Call of Duty name. They have tried to sell this game on name alone. And we've been saying this for a number of years. You know, it's like they know Call of Duty is going to sell well. It sells well every single year. And because they know that, they don't have to push the bar forward. And this entry is 100% proof of that. And so for $70, absolutely, I do not think it's worth it. I think if you're going to play Warzone, go play Warzone. But this right here is not worth $70. $30, $40 at the very max is what I think this experience is actually worth. And Warzone is why I think they did this, because Warzone 2 wasn't as well received as they were anticipating. But they made a bigger map in Al Mazrah and slowed down the movement. People didn't like that. It became more of a tactical shooter as opposed to the fast-paced arcade shooter that we were used to with Cold War, Modern Warfare, and of course Vanguard. And I don't think they thought that Warzone 2 would carry them another year, meaning they couldn't sell the battle passes, they couldn't sell you a bunch of skins, and they couldn't make enough money or as much money as they wanted to if they stuck with Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. So they decided to reskin this as Modern Warfare 3, and it's literally just Modern Warfare 2.5 in disguise. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. What do you think about the new game? If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you all in the next one, and as always, hold them down.